Hello and welcome to Master Your Mindset with your host, Isis Foster. This is the place to be for anyone who is on a personal development journey. I will be sharing with you my own mindset hacks and personal past experiences. Please subscribe and share if you enjoy what I'm about to share with you and you've taken value from it. You never know who may need to hear it. Hello and welcome back to the new episode of Master Your Mindset with Isis Foster. I am so excited to be sharing with you today someone who is really new into my circle, but also I'm so excited to show you how much value she's going to be adding to your life. So I'd like to introduce Holly. Holly is a PT who has been training clients for the past 2 years. After deciding the gym floor wasn't for her, she took her business online and is now fully self-employed. She helps clients overcome mental blocks, improve self-confidence, and is able to guide them in the right direction, whatever their final goal may be. So Holly, over to you.
Well, first off, thanks for having me on. And yeah, I'm super excited to just chat about this. So I'll just give you a little bit of a rundown about me and kind of like who I work with. So I actually started my own fitness journey about 5 years ago. I basically was overweight. I felt super unhappy in my body, but actually the main thing is my energy absolutely sucked. Like, there's nothing worse than being I think I was about 20 at the time. Nothing worse than being 20 but feeling like you're stuck in the body of like a 40-year-old, a 50-year-old, because you're just don't have the energy. Like, you just don't feel good in yourself. And I basically decided I wanted to make a change, so I did. And basically, I kind of just learned how to look at my body. I learned about small habits and making these small changes, and that kind of just changed my life. And now that's kind of what I help people do. I help women basically make changes in their life through using habits, but also just to get stronger and more confident throughout all of our lives. I don't know if you noticed this, Isis, but I definitely still see a lot of diet culture in there. We're still talking about how we can be less, how we can lose weight, how we can just be less and less and less. And I think it's completely fine if you do want to lose weight. But I think the key thing is you want to focus on how you can be more. And that's what I do. And we focus on how you can be more, how you can build better habits, and how you can just improve confidence overall. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So first of all, I want to talk to you. Well, I want you to talk to me actually about confidence and confidence within the gym, confidence within day-to-day life, and how you go around that with your clients. Because I know there are so many people out there who are so scared to put themselves in front of a personal trainer like yourself, or put themselves on the gym floor where there are loads of henchmen who know exactly what they're doing, and it can be really daunting. I've obviously been in that situation myself. So how would you help your clients overcome that?
We'll start off with confidence outside of the gym and then zoom in and look at that.
Perfect.
So confidence outside of the gym, that's kind of it's one of those things, and I'm a big believer that it doesn't come from what you look like. So if you're thinking that, I really need to lose weight and that will make me more confident, it's probably not the weight loss that will make you more confident. Sometimes it might be, and that's the thing with health and fitness. There's so many nuances in it that it's just so tricky to say a statement on anything. But it's really key just to make sure that you're looking after yourself, and that's where you'll get the confidence. So when you're showing up for yourself, when you know you're taking care of your body, that is when I see people's confidence absolutely skyrocket, when they know that they're doing what they should be doing for themselves, and they know how to look after themselves. That is the biggest game changer I see in people's confidence. And that comes really from just showing up for yourself, doing the basic, learning to go to the gym, learning to nourish your body, learning to just do these things that make you feel good. And that's definitely the biggest thing I see for confidence, and that's something that I help people with, getting those everyday stuff in there, as well as getting you confident in the gym. On the flip side of that, getting confident in the gym is a ball game in itself. What we want to do is kind of have a think, basically, is about how can we get you feeling comfortable in that space. The first thing is that it's a space that you can 100% be in, and you 100% have a right to be in there, especially when there's all these big muscly men and you see them and they all look like they know what they're doing. It can be super, super scary to walk into a space and just be I don't know what I'm doing. I don't feel like I belong here. This is something I really struggled with when I was in a bigger body as well. I always felt out of place in a gym, and I always felt like I shouldn't be there. But the thing is you actually have to spend time in a gym if you want to be more confident there. and that sucks to have to know, is that you have to spend more time in a gym. But if you want to get more confident, you've got to go there. You've got to put in the reps, so to speak. And actually, that will make a massive difference. But actually, as in practical tips for improving your gym confidence, I'd say 1, start off by planning your session or going in with a plan anyway. Have it like a PT, get you set up for a session. If you know what you're doing, you're not going to be aimlessly looking around and going, well, I could go on that, I could go on that, and I could do this, but I don't know how to do any of those things, and I don't know if that's going to help me, so I'm not going to do any of it. So we want to just make sure we've got a little bit of structure when you're going in there, and you have an idea, and you have a little bit of a mission, because then you'll spend your session going, right, I need that piece of equipment, I need that piece of equipment, and I need that, and you'll just get on with it. And that's the thing, is it'll really push you out of your comfort zone. The other thing is you can do here is use your warm-up. So if you do your warm-up, say on a piece of cardio equipment, jump on a treadmill, jump on a bike, jump on a rower. But whilst you're doing that, use that time, something that you're comfortable on, look around for what you need. So you kind of have a bit of an idea of where you're going. You know that you're going to be going to the leg press, and you know from the leg press you're going to be going onto the chest press and things like that. You have that idea of that direction that you can be following in. And that is really game-changing. Just those two things there. So using your warm-up and just having a plan when you go in the gym will massively skyrocket your confidence. On top of that, ask for help. Like, whenever you need help, ask for help. And there's always going to be someone a couple of steps ahead of you that's ready to help and is ready to guide you on the way. But yeah, they've definitely been my tips for just improving gym confidence.
Thank you so much, Holly. And that is honestly so true. Like, I've been training with my trainer at home for a year. The first time I stepped foot into a gym was literally a week ago, and I was like, whoa, like I feel so out of my depth. Even though I've been training, I could do my home workouts like with my eyes closed, but as soon as you step into a gym, obviously there is so much equipment around, but on every piece of equipment, there's literally instructions next to it. So as long as you can read and you can see, you're absolutely fine. But again, yeah, there are people around. And if you're not sure how to use a machine, just watch someone else go before you and watch what they're doing. And then obviously take leadership from that. And again, like, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable in life. You're always going to feel uncomfortable if you're putting yourself in a situation which you've never been in before. That is completely normal. That's human nature. But the more times you show up for yourself, the more confident you're going to be in that situation. And that leads me very nicely onto the next point of habits and energy within yourself. Can you talk a little bit about creating habits for yourself?
Yeah, so just off the back of that with the gym stuff, one of the things really to think about when you're setting yourself like that you want to go to the gym more, is kind of just to get like little habits that will help facilitate that. I actually had this conversation with someone on my team this week, and she's been struggling to get into the rhythm, like back into the rhythm after a little bit of a break of being in the gym. And actually what we said is we want to reduce the friction to go into the gym. So the habit is that she's going to put on her sports bra when she gets dressed in the morning. Because I said, I know for me, when I put on my sports bra, that is the most issues I have, because I don't want to get dressed in the middle of the day and then have to re-get dressed and put on a sports bra, because let's face it, who enjoys putting on a sports bra?
Yeah, that is so true.
So you want to just reduce that friction as much as possible. So the thing might be is just to make sure you're wearing your gym kit, just to remind your brain that you're going to go. The other things that you can do is basically you want to make it as easy as possible for you to do something that's going to facilitate that habit. So like with the gym, it might be setting your gym shoes out and popping them by the door rather than them being hidden in the cupboard. It might be you setting a time at like lunchtime and saying like, right, when I stop working for lunch, I'm going to go to the gym. So it's all about having these little things in place that are just going to help facilitate those habits in the first place. And actually that kind of is the key to success there. It's just setting yourself up for success. Along with like the habit side in more general though, especially when we think about nutrition and think about things that are going to facilitate that better energy, we want to think about, like, again, keeping it super, super small, but these things that are actually going to help make a change. But we want to focus on the basics. So rather than going for like those big, like fancy things that we're like, oh, we want to take this supplement and we want to do that, and we want to make sure we're running miles every day. We don't want to do these things. We want to start off nice and basic and just go, are we walking? Are we moving our body like in a good way? And set yourself a step goal, but don't go crazy with it. Just look on your Apple Health right now, or look on Samsung Health. Check on there, see how many steps you're doing per day. Add a couple of thousand onto that and get cracking. The thing is like, you're not going to, unless you make any change, you're not going to make the change. So you've got to set a goal, but set a realistic goal from what you're currently doing. And that's one of my big principles, is we always will meet you like where you're at, and we'll make sure that actually we're making changes around what you're currently doing, and not just setting arbitrary measurements like you've got to hit 10,000 steps, you've got to be drinking 3 litres of water a day, you've got to be doing this. It's more just, here's where you're at right now, let's take it up a notch. And make sure we're pushing that. And that's the best way to build habits. You just take small changes and you just go up a little bit from where you're at right now. And then,
yeah, I completely agree. Small changes, but done consistently over a period of time creates results, right?
Exactly. It's I don't know if you've heard this concept I've been reading about recently, but it's marginal gains. So the British cycling team used it. And basically it's making these small changes, but these small changes add up and basically add into the bigger picture. And when you do all these areas and you make small changes in your areas, things affecting your health and fitness, like training, nutrition, and mindset, when you make changes amongst those three areas, you're going to feel like a better person. You're going to feel healthier. You're going to feel better in your body.
100%. I couldn't agree more. So in terms of like using the gym, do you think a lot of people do have like a little bit of anxiety within them when it comes to like going onto the gym floor? And like, what would you say the difference is between like surviving and thriving?
I guess with the things when it comes to the gym floor, if you go in and you feel completely uncomfortable and you don't want to go jump on any piece of equipment, you still need to push yourself out of your comfort zone. Now, that's going to look different for everyone, because if you are absolutely, the gym is an environment, like you said, like you're just pure surviving in there, and it's not an environment that you absolutely thrive, then we want to make sure we're pushing you up and working you up in increments. That might start off with you just spend 5 minutes on the treadmill, walking on the treadmill, and then off you go home. The habit there is driving yourself to the gym after work. And we just want to make it used to you going to the gym, making it part of your routine that you go there. And then in terms of reducing your anxiety, it's just about pushing yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit each week. So that's going to be, first off, when it comes to, let's say week one, we want to make sure you're spending like 5 minutes in the gym. That's it. I have some clients and they go, first week they go in, they will literally go into the gym, and that's all we do, is you just go to the gym and then you come home and they go, do you know what, that was very silly of me, I could have gone and done a workout. And then you kind of start to realize things, and you kind of start to realize that actually we can do things and we can get the ball rolling much faster than you realize. But the key thing really is just push yourself out of that comfort zone a little bit each week, because that's just going to help to expand it and stretch it.
100%. And in terms of like motivation, because I know that for some people it can be really hard just to get themselves to the gym, because let's not lie, it is so much easier to sit on the sofa after you finished a long day at work, put on Netflix, put a pizza in the oven and just sit on your ass and do nothing. But where do you think the line is between like motivation and discipline?
So I think this is a really good question, and I think this is something that on Instagram we see quite a lot of, and everyone's like, you don't need motivation, you just need to have discipline. And actually, I think it's a really interesting conversation, because I think a lot of the time we are motivated, we're just expecting our motivation to look like something else. So really, when I see motivation dips, it's not motivation that's dipping, it's that you're getting into the all or nothing mindset. And this is where it's really like key to make sure we get out of that. So basically the all or nothing mindset is where you kind of swing from extremes. We'll start off at one end where you're absolutely perfect, life is going fantastic, you're running at 100 miles an hour. This kind of tends to happen in January. So we'll start January, it's new year, new me. We've got healthy eating, I'm never going to eat chocolate ever again, and I'm going to only eat a diet of like lettuce and vegetables and a little bit of protein in there as well. And we see this in people run at 100 miles an hour. And then in week 2, they go, and off they pop. But what we really want to do is we want to make sure we get you out of that all or nothing mindset, where when you're not perfect up there at this like pinnacle of unrealistic expectation, you're still doing something. Because that's where motivation drops, because when we're not being perfect, we swing to the other side and we go, well, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to sit at home. I'm going to pop on whatever you're binging on Netflix. I'm going to pop the pizza in the oven, and that's all I'm going to have tonight. And it's about making sure we find that in between, and we see it as a spectrum rather than just these two extremes of all or nothing.
And I think, yeah, you're so right. And people do just strive for perfectionism all the time. Whereas if they just strived for progression and were okay with, okay, I've had a chocolate bar today, or I've had a glass of wine, I'm not going to throw everything that I've done in the past out of the window, results would come a lot faster, because they wouldn't be swinging from one extreme to the other.
Exactly.
Yeah. So sorry, carry on.
We have a little framework actually that we use amongst the team. So we use the next best thing mindset. So I work with a lot of people that have struggled with perfectionism, that have struggled with like that all or nothing mindset, and we tend to find that like most things, it comes from like childhood. But the key thing here is we ask yourself, what's the next best thing? So if you can't be perfect, what's the next best thing you can do? Because something is better than nothing. It's always going to be better than nothing. So ask yourself, what's the next best thing you can do? So I'll kind of like run through a few examples of that. With the gym, if you can't go and do 3 sessions a week, what's the next best thing that you can do? You could go do 2, you could do 1. If you can't make it to the gym, what could you do? You could go do your steps instead. Just get yourself moving. Do a home workout. Anything like that is going to be the next best thing that you can do. And even if you feel like you have to chip it down a few layers, that's absolutely fine. What you've got to do is just ask yourself, what's the next best thing? And this is just something that I use like with my team all the time. And this makes a massive difference. And this actually will help you get results in the long term and make, like you were saying, that progress over the perfection.
When you put it in those simple words, it sounds so easy. But when you're in the moment, I can imagine it's just like, oh, like, let's just chuck it all out the window. But yeah, that is so true. Like, what is the next best thing? And I suppose you could like bring that into any area of your life. Like, if things aren't going great for you in, I don't know, a friendship group, what's the next best thing I could do? And then just think about what other things you could be potentially doing. That is so true. I've never really thought about it like that.
It's really interesting. So I've actually had someone's just gone to go buy a new flat. And she was telling me that she actually used the next best thing mindset whilst buying the new flat.
Oh, wow.
She was like, it's actually slightly further out than where I was planning on living, but actually it's the next best thing. So it's not perfect, but it's actually going to move me into a new space. I know my mental health will improve because of that. And I know that's going to be the next best thing that I can do, because I can't live she's in London, and she's like, I can't live in central London next to my work. So this is the next best thing. I was like, that's fantastic, because the all or nothing mindset does creep into all areas of our life, and it's good to get yourself out of that, and that framework you can apply to, like I said, anything.
That is so true. I'm definitely going to be bringing that into different areas of my life now, so thanks for sharing that. I've got one more question that I want to ask, and this is from somebody who follows me on Instagram, and I think this could actually help a lot of people out there. So with people who struggle with polycystic ovaries, so PCOS, are there any workouts in particular that you would advise for them to do, or any sort of training programs that they could follow? Like, what is your experience with people who have PCOS?
So PCOS is a really interesting one, and we're a little bit on the rise at the moment with like diagnoses. And basically, if you like think that you've got PCOS, go speak to your doctor first and foremost, and they should do some tests for you. But the key thing is with PCOS is it's actually a hormonal condition. So we see like this like misbalance of hormones, particularly in like women or people who have periods, and we will see that you will have like a misbalance. So when it comes to training, when it comes to nutrition and things like that, we want to focus really in on the basics. So rather than thinking like specific workouts or anything like that, we want to really focus on like the basics for your body, for your health. So think about your nutrition. Are we in a good spot with your nutrition? Are you eating like mainly like whole foods, like 8% of your diet's coming from whole foods? We're minimizing the amount of like highly processed foods, high sugar foods and things like that. And just ask yourself, are you nourishing yourself like in a good way? And that's, again, not swinging to extremes, but it's asking yourself, how can you get good quality nutrition in? And that's going to make a massive difference. On a training side of things, we also want to make sure that you're getting some resistance training in if you can. Now, with PCOS, we have a massive advantage when it comes to training, because the higher levels of testosterone are going to mean it's slightly easier for you to build a little bit of muscle, which is going to be a massive game changer when it comes to your overall health. So take that to your advantage. A lot of the time with like PCOS, we see it's kind of like doom and gloom, and it's kind of like a hindrance. With this, see it as an advantage. That's how I tend to work with like women on my team who've got PCOS. We will work through kind of like and see it as an advantage, and we will help you with resistance training to build that muscle up. Even if fat loss is the goal, we still want to make sure we've still got like muscle being built up there. And the way I'd go around that is just making sure we've got 3 full body sessions in, whether we build up to 3 full body sessions or like whether we start there. And that's a really good kind of like round basis to get off of, and just make sure we've got regular sessions in which we're seeing like progressive overload week in, week out. And that overall is going to be a really good spot just to kind of take like your training to like the next level. But overall, it's just about the foundations, the fundamental stuff. Like, are you eating enough, and is it that good quality? Are you making sure that like you're drinking enough water, and are you doing some resistance training? So are you lifting some weights?
Amazing. Thank you so much, Holly. I know that all that information, I'm like sat here taking it all on board, and I know that everyone listening to this podcast will be doing exactly the same. The questions that you've answered, honestly, are ones which, if you're starting your gym experience, or you're trying to put yourself out there into an uncomfortable environment, this is all stuff which is going to be of such good value to you. So I want to say thank you so much for coming on my podcast. Is there anything else that you would like to add, or anything which you think would add value to the listeners today?
Yeah, of course. So if you got through all of this and you really enjoyed this, then just make sure you give me a follow on Instagram at Holly Mills Fitness. And if you have like taken something from this, just drop me a message, tell me what your biggest breakaway was, and I'll send you over my 5 key habits to getting started in life. To make sure you're kind of like leveling up your life and improving that training, improving that nutrition, and more importantly, improving that mindset.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Holly. thank you for listening. If you've loved what I've shared with you today, please give me a tag on Instagram at IsisFoster1 and share it with those around you. You never know who may need to hear it. Don't forget to follow me on here so you never miss an episode. I hope you have a beautiful day.